Hello students, welcome back to the science class. So today we are going to start new unit. That is unit number 6, life cycle. Have you heard about this word life cycle? We all know about life. Yes? What is life? It's a period between birth and death. Or we can say life is a state of being alive. Yes? So, life is a period from birth to death. Then what is life cycle? So, during the life period, we have to pass through certain stages. Yes? As humans, we are starting our life as infants. Then to child, we are changing the stages. Then to a teen, then to an adult person, then to an elderly person. So like that, we are passing through various stages of life. So, life cycle is the series of stages a living being passes from birth to and death. So all plants and animals have life cycle. It is happening over and over again. How? So this we will learn in detail in our lessons, and we have 7 lessons in our unit. They are reproduction, not enough copies, plant reproduction, pollination and fertilization in plants, seed dispersal, how do seeds grow, and the human life cycle. Now we will start with our lesson 1, reproduction. Open your textbook page number 76 and listen carefully. So life cycle, we know the series of stages that a living being is passing from its birth to death. And during these stages, in the adult stage, the living bee will reproduce. And from there, the young one will carry the life cycle. So what is reproduction? The process by which living organisms produce new organisms similar to themselves. That means a copy of it. Humans produce humans, plants produces plants. It will be the same copy of the living being. So, what are the characteristic features of reproduction? It is essential because it helps in the survival and helps in the continuity of that race or that species. The young ones will be produced, and these young ones, they replace the old and dying ones. And when these young ones will grow and reach the stage of adult, it will reproduce again. And like that, it will sustain the species, and it does not become the species to extinct. What do you mean by extinct? I'll show you one example. Extinct means not existing now. Dinosaurs are not existing now, so we can call they are extinct. So making copies. See the picture. From a sunflower, we are getting many seeds. And these plants are reproduced through seeds. And in a sunflower plant, there will be lot of seeds. Yes? And these seeds will produce young ones. Many young one seed. From one flower, there are many seeds. And these many seeds will produce many young plants. And there will be a lot of sunflower plants. Understood how the copies are made? From a single flower, there will be a lot of species, lot of the same kind of plant. That means its own copy. So that is making copies. From one, it can produce many. Now, in the case of an animal, for example, a dog can produce more than 3 puppies at one time. So, these 3 puppies, when it reaches the stage of adult, it can produce again 3 more. So, how the cycle is increasing? How they are making many copies? So, this is how the life cycle is carried. This dog, when it reaches the adult stage, it is reproducing, and through these young ones, when the young ones reaches the adult stage, it also reproduces. So like that the cycle continues. It's not like the one species, the one kind is continuing the life cycle. Through their young ones, that species is continuing the life cycle. Understood? And thus many copies are made. Now, look at this picture. Every living being, when it reproduces, it will produce its own kind, its own copy. A human will produce a human only. A zebra, it will produce the young zebra. In this lesson, you have 2 important stages of life cycle. You have to learn the life cycle of a frog and the life cycle of a tomato plant. Now it's time to watch a video that describes the life cycle of a frog. A female frog lays hundreds of eggs at one time, and it is laying the egg on the surface of water. Even though the frog lays hundreds of eggs at one time, due to the exposure of wind and rainfall, some of these eggs get destroyed and only few eggs get fertilized. To protect these eggs, there will be a layer of jelly that holds these eggs together. This mass of jelly is called spawn. So, after a few weeks, the eggs are about to hatch. This larval stage of frog egg is called tadpole. And this tadpole will feed the yolk of the egg from which it hatches. And it looks exactly like a fish. Gills will appear on the body, and the tails will start elongating, and fins will also start coming. And we know that a frog doesn't have tail and it is having 4 legs. So during these stages, the gills will disappear and the tadpoles will develop hind limbs or legs. 2 back legs it will produce. And the tail will start reducing and 2 more legs, front legs will appear. During this stage, this tadpole is called froglet. It is preparing to be a young frog. So 4 limbs will appear. Thus there are 4 legs, and in this stage the young frog or froglet will start develops its internal organs. And the tails will become smaller and it has prepared all the stages and ready to go to the land as an adult frog. So, understood the life cycle of a frog? In the first stage, it is like a fertilized egg. Then it changes its state to tadpole with gills and fins, with front legs, then with 4 legs. Then it is changed to froglet and then to the adult frog. Now we will learn the life cycle of a tomato plant. The tomato is having seeds inside it. So through these seeds, this plant is reproducing. When we are sowing the seeds, what happens? When the seeds are sown in the ground, young plants will come out. Then in the next stage, the young plants will grow and become mature plant. Then flowers will appear and these flowers will eventually changes as the fruit tomato. So, tomatoes are reproducing through the seeds. The seeds are changing to seedlings, then to a mature plant, then to a flower and then to the fruit. So, understood the cycle, the life cycle of a tomato plant? Yes. Now, what all things we learned today? We learned the life cycle. What is life cycle? The series of stages that a living being is passing from its birth to death is called life cycle. And reproduction. When a living being reaches the adult stage, reproduction occurs and it is reproducing the same copy of itself. Then we learn life cycle of a frog and a tomato plant. So that's all for today. Thank you for listening.